Hello, it's Duncan Bolam again at the Redundancy Club. I'm laying down a whole sort of raft of guidance films on how to navigate redundancy and how to develop an effective work hunting strategy. And this film is one of the sort of central tenets on how to build that process in a sequentially dependent, effective, pre-planned and organised way. So you're organised in a proactive way as opposed to reacting to your market in an unexpected, unplanned way, which is, I'm afraid to say, how the majority of people approach job hunting. So we've got to start with being able to answer the ultimate question. The biggest question of all is, we're more than likely to be asked this we could paraphrase it and that we could reinterpret it in a number of different ways, but I can bet my bottom dollar you're going to get asked, tell me about yourself at interview. You're even going to get asked the question in a kind of disarmed way, in an innocent way. You'll be asked to answer this question in an informational meeting, in a networking event. Tell me about yourself. What do you do? Who are you? Why are you passionate about what you do? Why should I talk to you anymore? And unless we can answer that, we're stuffed. So let's start with an unexpected slant, which I'm afraid is going to be quite controversial to many of you. But I've been doing this for 23 years. I struggled big time for the first 32 years of my life. Then I really had a transformational event occurred to me following a career guidance interview. So now I'm expert. Now I've got the traction and the track record to be able to say something different to my competitors. We start, there are three versions to this answer. And we start with the interview script. So let me draw three boxes quickly here. So the three boxes are right in the middle. I'm not going to put a line across the bottom yet. This is version 3. This is version 2. And this is the kind of explosive controversy bit, because version number 2 is the CV. And the interesting bit is most people start their job hunting campaign by firing out their CVs left, right and centre without having first come up with a career plan, a career strategy. They haven't made a career decision. So the interview script is based upon the language of success. And the language of success is extracted from our achievement stories. So our achievements, very, very difficult. It's easy for me to say, but I have to say I empathise hugely on this, because the reality is, if I asked you to go off and develop a database of your biggest employment work-based achievements to date, it's really, really difficult. Excellent opportunity to collaborate with a coach who can help see your blind spots and help cultivate this list. But it's really, really difficult to do by ourselves. Perhaps I need to do another film about how do we develop that list. But the list, our database of achievement stories, we're going to distill that down eventually. In Dick Ball's workbook, why am I going off at this particular tangent now? It's interesting. So you can get this workbook, the Job Hunters Workbook. In here, he talks about life stories. It's a really good prompt for you to be able to find your way through this. What was your goal? What did you want to accomplish? Maybe what did the organization set you as a project to fulfill? Some kind of obstacle that you overcame in the completion of that task. What did you do step by step? So what actions did you take? The description of the result, which I'm going to come to, in any measure or quantities to prove your achievement. That's the really sexy stuff. So I translate that into coming down the career road, arrive at the career decision-making crossroads. We're in our car. Most people look out the front, the windscreen to see where the signposts are. I say, adjust the rear view mirror. Take stock of our achievement stories. So what were the smoke signals that denote our achievement stories? We drill down into those achievement stories to pull out to extract from that the vocabulary, the language of success. So what were the challenges that we overcame? That can be projects, that could be tasks that we undertook for the employer. What actions? Actions are verbs. So we managed, designed, led, organized, drew, designed, manufactured. There's a list of 286 or 246 very helpful verbs in that book, which move in every single version. But 246 verbs there. Great tool to have at your disposal. Verbs give us our skills. Verbs are skills. The semantic fog holding people back, people locked in not knowing, and it's because we can't get the grammar right. And then we have our results. I'm going to change pen. Because the results are what act as our marketing material. And our results will fall into two different types, quantitative and qualitative. Cut those words short because I probably can't spell them. Anyway, I did just about get the box the right length, so I can close that box off and we can discuss results. So the results, for a start off, we have a miniature, tell me about yourself, sits at the top of your CV, sometimes referred to as your personal profile. It is a 3-line sentence, ideally, that you sum yourself up. Very, very difficult distillation to achieve. It's something I love to do with my clients, is see if I can sum them up in a really short paragraph at the top of their resume. Instantly triggers the reader, the hirer, the recruiter. Instantly helps them visualize you in post in the job description that they happen to be hiring for. It closes the gap between you and the job. So we can prioritize our skills. Again, really, really incredibly useful tool inside of Dick Ball's book, The Prioritization Grid. Incredibly valuable way of identifying what skills we love to do the most, and it helps us with our self-marketing, because these action words will form the first word of the bullet point that tells the story in the interview. So I managed a project that delivered £5,000 worth of profit to the bottom line by doing such and such. I designed projects, I designed products, a particular product. So we're going to start getting some money in here. We're going to start getting percentages in here: designed, managed, designed, organised. I organised the stock room so that my colleagues could find the goods that we were selling in the warehouse more efficiently, thereby saved time, etc., etc. So the actions as to how we do things led, created. When the verb goes on the resume, you'll notice it changed into past tense because it's a success story which you've delivered. It's done, it's past, it's historic. It's a historic view. So in terms of, let's just get down here, language of success. The results reverse engineer into our bullet points on the CV. So we have to do the interview script first. It's a fallacy to think we'd produce our CV first, fire our CV out into the marketplace, and then react to the interview questions on the day. We can help the interview cultivate the questions on the day by giving them a lead in our CV. So what's the important distinction between the quantitative and the qualitative results? Well, the quantitative results are how we contributed value to the bottom line. Now, if we're a warehouse worker, we drove our forklift truck, in a way that was efficient. Pick rates and things like that will be selling points. If we're a business leader and we've increased the organization's turnover, we've delayered costs, or we've extracted costs from the balance sheet in order to make the business more profitable. Ideally, we're getting some numbers. So how many people did I lead? How many people did I manage? Was it a £5 million organization, a £500 million organization? If I was a self-employed person and I was a freelancer, ways of demonstrating value, which is essential. We get some numbers in the CV, in our results. So the quantitative results are what gets us hired. So when somebody's reading the resume, the CV, they're looking for evidence of your performance. The qualitative stuff is how we make our career decision. So this was important to me. This achievement made me feel good. I talk about, in my book and elsewhere, I talk about the invisible transaction of work, which is the feel-good factor. I derived job satisfaction from doing this, overcoming this challenge. So I'm obtaining job satisfaction, believe it or not, now, because this is my subject. If I help you shortcut a lot of the pain involved in career transition and overcoming redundancy and finding our next job more quickly, then I will derive a lot of joy from that. So we've got, I want to put this in red, version number 1 is the interview script. Version number 2 is the CV / resume. What's version number 3? Well, version number 3 is a powerful little fella, and it's, to use an Americanism, we call it the elevator pitch, and it's maybe a 2 to 3 minute, I call them infomercials, it's a 2 to 3 minute story of my who, what, and why. The reason that's powerful, and often I encourage my clients to get that made into a DL card that they can keep on the inside of their blazer or their jacket pocket or in their handbag or whatever it might be. and they can pull that out, and it's a bit different to a business card, or it's a slightly more involved version. But just say you go to an event and you happen to be in the lift or the elevator, as the American people would call it, and there's a couple of people get in the lift and they're having a conversation, and they're describing that they're hiring, they're in the marketplace to hire a person who sounds very much like your occupational DNA. The reality is that because we haven't prepared this answer, people bottle it. They just don't have the nerve or the courage to blurt out a response and say, excuse me, I can't help but say that the person you're describing is me, and this is why. And I've got a book here which is called Reflections on Success by Martin Lewis, who is the former BBC newscaster and journalist. And he interviewed, this is a very old book now, I was at the book launch in about 1997. He interviewed all kinds of people like Richard Branson, Cliff Richard, struggling to recognise some of them now, but all business luminaries. And what David Blunkett, who have we got in here, who we might be still contemporary and still in the Sir Cameron Mackintosh, the theatre impresario, Jeremy Irons, the actor, Sir Bernard Ingham. So I asked Martin Lewis if he could distill down that book into what the essence of success was for him. And what he said was, imagine you're leaning up against the back door of your house and you've got this ideal back garden and a white picket fence, and there's a hedge down the bottom there, and there's a narrow lane, and hang on a minute, at the top of the valley you see a white stallion trotting down the road, and hang on a minute, it's jumped over the fence and it's in my back garden. That horse is the horse of opportunity. And he said the people in the book recognized opportunity, and they were the one who created their own luck. They're the people who climbed on the horse and went with it down the road. And that's why having an elephant, that's a long-winded way of me saying, why having a pre-prepared elevator pitch is a really, really powerful thing to equip yourself with when you're job hunting or work hunting in earnest. So very few people are going to do this. I've had family members who've been long-term unemployed, and I've been wanting them to get into proactive job hunting mode, but they've done it reactively. They've just done it with a CV. They've been firing their CV out onto the internet and job sites and recruitment sites, and they haven't prepared their interview script first, because cultivating this interview script helps us have a sense of conviction about who we are as a person. So hope that's helpful. Look forward to meeting you or providing you with some further information soon. Thank you.